For just 5 seconds, every trace of oxygen on Earth disappears. Not less oxygen, not polluted air, zero oxygen. And in those 5 seconds, the entire planet would fall into instant chaos. Oxygen makes up around 21% of Earth's atmosphere. It keeps humans alive, fuels fire, powers engines, and supports life across the planet. If it vanished for just 5 seconds, the consequences would begin instantly. At first, people would not understand what is happening. There would be no warning, no sirens, no countdown. Just one impossible moment where the air itself no longer works the way it should. Humans would feel immediate shock. You would not instantly die in 5 seconds, but your lungs would feel empty. Your chest would tighten, and panic would spread everywhere as billions of people try to breathe and get nothing. The sensation would be horrifying. Many people would feel dizziness, pressure in their ears, confusion, and raw terror. For a few seconds, the entire human race would feel helpless. Airplane engines need oxygen for combustion. The moment oxygen disappears, thousands of aircraft would lose thrust. Pilots would have only seconds to react as passengers are thrown into panic. Helicopters would be hit too. Airports around the world would descend into confusion as air traffic systems try to understand why aircraft are suddenly losing stability. Most combustion engines on Earth would fail instantly. Cars would stall. Trucks would lose power. Highways would turn into chains of crashes as drivers lose control in the middle of traffic. Fire cannot exist without oxygen. Candles would die. House fires would vanish. Wildfires would go dark. For one surreal moment, every visible flame on Earth would be extinguished. The silence of extinguished fire would be one of the strangest parts of the event. Ovens, furnaces, power systems, and burning fuel sources around the world would suddenly stop functioning. Entire industries depend on oxygen directly or indirectly. Steel production, chemical manufacturing, refineries, and countless industrial systems would suffer immediate disruption. Hospitals would enter instant crisis. Patients in surgery, newborn babies, the elderly, and anyone relying on assisted oxygen would be in immediate danger. For some, 5 seconds would be enough to become fatal. Emergency rooms would become scenes of pure panic. Doctors would have no explanation, no treatment, and no time. The people most dependent on oxygen would be the first to die. Animals would suffer too. Birds in flight could lose control. Insects would collapse. Pets would panic. Livestock across the world would experience the same terror as humans. Aquatic life would also be hit. Fish and many marine species rely on dissolved oxygen in water. A sudden global loss of oxygen would trigger mass distress across lakes, rivers, and oceans. Even entire ecosystems would seem to pause in fear. For a few impossible seconds, the living world would be thrown into biological shock. But this would not just be a breathing crisis. Removing oxygen from the atmosphere would also change the balance of the air around us. The sky itself could seem wrong, darker, stranger, less alive. Sudden atmospheric changes could create pressure effects across the planet. Ears could pop, glass could crack. Structures could be stressed by the sudden imbalance in the air. Transportation, infrastructure, and emergency services would be thrown into total confusion. No government on Earth would have any plan for a disaster like this. Then, after 5 seconds, oxygen returns. But the damage is already done. Engines restart violently. Fires reignite. Planes are already falling. Crashes have already begun. The aftermath would be brutal. Collisions, injuries, mass panic, critical deaths, industrial failures, and global trauma. Humanity would survive the 5 seconds, but civilization would never forget them. In just a few moments, the invisible gas we barely think about would remind us of one terrifying truth. Life on Earth depends on a balance so fragile that removing it for seconds could change the world forever. Oxygen is invisible, silent, easy to ignore, but without it, the world stops almost instantly. So now imagine this. If 5 seconds without oxygen could do all this, what would 1 full minute do?